And now, a post-Super Bowl episode of Donny Boast, Weekly Football Flash, with your host, Donny Boast.
Ladies and gentlemen, my goodness gracious me, there is a new champion. Meet the new boss, same as the old boss. His name is Tom Brady. His coach is Bill Belichick, and their owner is Robert Kraft. They are the New England Patriots. They are the team that has won the Super Bowl in the first ever overtime Super Bowl against the Atlanta Falcons, who did everything they could except win the ball game when it mattered. Ladies and gentlemen, it was an epic ball game. It was one for all the marbles. It was everything we hoped and wished it would be. And yes, sirree, the Patriots ultimately won by 6. Hey, we call them as we see them, folks. No, it wasn't a 35-24 thumping like we thought it would be. Instead, it was an epic comeback. Instead, it was a moment for all of history. Instead, it was that thing, that, as the French say, je ne sais quoi, if you will. Touchdown Tom Brady, overcoming all odds in the fourth quarter, scoring 19 points to ultimately send the game into overtime and win it on the opening drive, and win it in ultimate fashion as he's done so many times before. It is a bittersweet loss for all intents and purposes for the Atlanta Falcons. They had the game won. They had it in the bag. And then they goofed it up. They had 3rd and 33, and instead of just running the ball and running out the clock, they decided to throw. It was stupid. There was a lot of things that the Atlanta Falcons left on the table today, a lot of coulda, shoulda, woulda, but ultimately it all came down to one thing. Tom Brady, Tom Brady, Tom Brady. He had 466 yards passing. He had 2 touchdowns. He had 1 interception that was ultimately a pick 6. And that's when everyone said it's over. It was 21-0 in the second quarter. And all the Patriots could muster before the end of the half was a field goal. We thought the game was lost. Texts were being sent across the nation. Ha ha, I told you so. So many things were still up in the air. It was an epic ball game, but you couldn't count them out. There was only one problem. The Patriots couldn't do anything. They couldn't run the ball. They couldn't throw the ball. They had more drops than I've ever seen the Patriots have before. They desperately missed Gronk. But when it all mattered and it all came down to something, they were, as the parlance says, hanging around, and so on and so forth, ultimately won the game. Brady was sacked multiple times. We haven't seen Brady this beat up in a decade. I can't remember the last time I've seen Brady on his back this much, maybe since his honeymoon. I don't know. All I know is this. The New England Patriots won, and they won in the fashion that only the Patriots can do, in overtime, in an epic, legendary mythos. After it's all said and done, the Atlanta Falcons have a lot of soul-searching to do. They got ever so close, but they scored 0 points in the fourth quarter. They were stuck on 28. They were stuck on 28 for ultimately most of the second half. The 7 points they scored in the third were in the early going. They needed another field goal. They needed something, and they couldn't do it. It was an epic loss on their part. It was a loss that will sit in their stomachs for decades to come. It was unbelievable in that sense. But Tom Brady, epic as usual, coming away, 43 completions on 62 attempts. I don't know if that's a Super Bowl record, but it should be. 62 attempts? My goodness, who is this guy? They couldn't run the ball. It was just that simple. The Patriots couldn't run the ball as much as they wanted to. Meanwhile, the Atlanta Falcons were playing with the New England Patriots linebackers all game. That was their game plan. Let's mess with the linebackers. Let's spread them out. Let's put in motion. Let's put mismatches on the linebackers. Let's run to the inside, then out. Let's run to the outside, and then in. It was all sorts of things they were doing, and it was working, except for one thing. They couldn't muster that last point. They couldn't muster that one moment. They couldn't do it in the second half. The Patriots just came out and said, we're going to win this game on sheer will. They even missed an extra point, for crying out loud. But it didn't matter. They won. They won in overtime. The first ever overtime in the history of the Super Bowl. It was epic. It was beyond epic. It was fantastic. Matt Ryan should not be ashamed. Matt Ryan played a heck of a game. He's the MVP of the league. I mean, he had 284 for 2 touchdowns on 23 attempts. They tried to do a nice balance, and Freeman had 75 yards and a touchdown, along of 37. He had some great moments. They tried to shut down Julio Jones at the Patriots, and it almost worked. He had 4 catches for 87 yards. He was going over the middle, and he had an acrobatic catch on the sideline that we thought was going to seal the game, but it didn't. What else can we say, folks? The Pats are champions once again. They even had an old oop-de-oop out to the right side. I mean, it was unbelievable. It was an epic ball game at all intents and purposes. It was one of those games where the team who had the ball last was going to win. Yes, the Falcons had their chances and they couldn't close it out. Yes, the Patriots had to come back. And Tom Brady even rushed for a couple of yards. He had 15 yards. He had 15 yards. It's unbelievable. We're still jazzed. We're still moving. We're still excited because it was just a fantastic ball game. So many things happened. There were so many moments. There were so many moments for both teams to seal it up. And ultimately, again, the New England Patriots are the Super Bowl champions. They have won it all. And there was a lot of tears after the game. There was that classic awkward moment between the commissioner and the owner, Bob Kraft. After it's all said and done, Tom Brady has 5. Bill Belichick has 5. They are the team of not the decade, but the last 2. They are the penultimate. They are the prestige of professional sports.